guys, David here with Philippine American couple. Hey, in this video, I just wanted to talk about men's hats. If you guys have been following our channel, you probably know and see a lot of videos of me wearing different hats. And I've had a lot of questions about my hats and why I choose them, the size and the types. So I thought I would do a little tutorial of what I think is important about hats to understand. Now this is a short overview of men's hats. You can do a lot of research out there and come to find, man, you can study it for hours and days and weeks before you become an actual expert. So I just wanted to kind of share with you guys my love of hats, because I love hats. I can't get enough of them. Everywhere we go, when we travel, I try to buy a new hat from that area. All right, let's get started. So folks, here's a little history on hats. Now, hats have been around for literally centuries, and I mean many centuries. They kind of all started out with protection, and due to warfare or the weather elements, they were seen as status symbols throughout history. You know, if you could afford a nice felt cap with an ornate feather, then you had money in a lot of societies. They were born out of need and necessity in a lot of environments. Like I'll talk about one type of hat that's from Australia that's just that. So a lot of them were form and function, and then of course in modern times we've basically have turned them into fashion statements, which for me is great, because you know I like to coordinate my hats with what I'm wearing and the styles and what I'm doing and the activities. So I think all of that's kind of fun. So before we can get into the, 7 or 8 basic hats that I consider to be relevant, we need to do a little bit of an understanding of the anatomy of your hats, all right? So if you can see the pinch point here on the top of the hat, that's going to be the crown shape and the crown itself. Of course, the hat band is the little part that goes around, and you can see there. This is the brim, all right? The under brim, you got a sweat band, of course, and an inner lining. You'll find that a lot of good quality hats will have really nice inner lining. So if you're out and about and you're looking for hats and things, this is one way to tell a good hat or just a average hat. Now, straw hats don't have linings, so keep that in mind. Just because a straw hat doesn't have it doesn't mean it's bad. That would defeat the purpose of a straw hat. So, all right, and so that's a little bit on the anatomy of hat. It helps you understand that. Let's move to sizing, how to pick the size of your hat. Now, I'm going to try to demonstrate this. A lot of us doesn't have a flex tape measure that can go all the way around. So the simplest way to do it is to get you a shoestring or a piece of any other kind of string. And you want to kind of come up here about 1/8 of an inch above your ear, all the way around your head, all right? Measure that. You don't want it too tight on your head. You never want your hats to be too tight. Then also to keep in mind of your measurement is, preferably you want to measure your head the way you wear your hair. So currently, my hair is really short. I don't normally keep it this short, but I did for the winter. It's something to do. So you got to keep that in mind. I got certain hats that now are too big because I don't have any hair. So you got to kind of play that and keep that in mind. So then what we can do is take our trusty tape measure and simply measure my head. And let's see how big my head is today. My head is 23 1/4 around. 23 inches and 1/4 around. So when I go to buy a hat, I know that I need to be looking in the 23 1/4 and maybe a little larger so that it fits my head right. I'm not getting my hat on very good today. So we got to keep that in mind. That's how you want to measure your head. About 1/8 inch above the ear on both sides is where you need to be. All right. You don't want to measure way down. You don't want your hats to come down, and you don't want them to stick way up on your heads. All right. Keep in mind, like I said, your hair. Let me take that off. Keep in mind your hair, what you're going to be wearing in the future. And if you need to, you can go a little bit larger, and they also sell hat inserts that actually go inside of the sweatbands here that you can put, and it will let your hat be smaller. So it's like I have one of my favorite hats that fits perfectly when I have hair, but not when I don't have hair. So I have some fillers that I put in there when I don't have hair. All right, let's see what's next. All right, so let's talk about the classic gentleman's hat, which is the Fedora. That's what I have on now. Pretty classic fedora. I have a lot of fedoras, and I love them. I think they're very stylish. I have them in different colors and different materials, all the way from wool to felt to straw to you name it. I love them. And the really great thing about fedoras is you can pick them out for almost any occasion to go with any suit. There's some that are a little bit more casual wear versus formal wear, but they truly are. So the funny thing, let me tell you a funny thing about fedoras. These hats were originally women's hats. And Fedora was the name of the woman in the 1800s in England who invented it and wore it. So that's why it's called a fedora's hat. But in 1932, it kind of transitioned into being a man's hat. So you're going to find a traditional fedora, the brim here is over 1 inch long, all right? So you have this kind of fedora. It has a pinch front, a nice crown, and then you can have what they call kind of a stingy brim, which twirls up, which I have a few of those. This hat here that I like to wear a lot, I have it kind of curled up, but a true stingy brim might even be, you know, a little bit curlier than that. So that's a fedora. Now let's look at our next slide. The Trilby is a fedora, sister, brother related to it. But the big difference is the brim. Like in this one, this is the Trilby. This brim here is less than 1 inch. So that's what it makes these. This is one of my favorite hats to wear in the winter. It's made out of wool. I think it's kind of cool. I like it. It goes with all my gray clothes or blue clothes pretty well. But that's what a Trilby, remember, they just have a much shorter brim. All right, let's see what else I can share with you guys. Panama hats. Now guys, I love a good Panama hat. I don't have a good Panama hat at all. I wish I did. I would love to find the right Panama hat for me, and I would just love to have a really good quality Panama hat. Some years ago, I had a decent one, but somebody stole it. I was out somewhere, and I guess it was in my car, and somebody saw it and decided they wanted it, and I left the window down, and they took the hat off my seat. So they took my average Panama hat, but I love Panama hats. So here's the key about some Panama hats. They are made from plants, is what they are. So they're not wool, they're not felt, they're plant. They're originated in Central and South America. It looks a lot like the fedora, but the difference is the brim of the hat is much bigger. Now, I have a straw hat, but it's technically still not a Panama. It's a fedora, but you can see that this is close to being a Panama style because the brim is much bigger. But even on a Panama, it's going to be even a little bit wider and bigger. I picked this hat up in Belize. No, I got this hat in Belize on a trip I was there. So I love this hat. It's beautiful. It's well made. And here's the key. Look, I paid a lot of money for some of my hats. This is a really high quality hat, and I paid $20 US for it in Belize. This thing would cost me $180 or $200 here in the United States. Just crazy. So, all right, so Panama hats are straw hats. Their big purpose is to keep the sun away, and the straw allows your head to vent and keep cool and air to come through. They can be white or off-colored, but I just love them. I just can't wait to get a real authentic Panama hat from maybe Panama. The pork pie hat. This is another hat that I don't have. This one really doesn't interest me too much. It's kind of too round for me. My head shape is kind of like this. I think a big round hat would just make me look fatter than I am. So I'm not a big fan of those. Here's one of the interesting things about this is it started off as a woman's hat. In the 1830s, men started to wear around the 1900s. It's made of straw or felt or any other materials. They're cool hats. If I ever found the right one, I guess I would buy one. I think they're pretty cool. All right, let's talk about the boater hat. Now, these are a semi-formal summer men's hat. They were popular in the late 19th and early 20th century. They basically were pleasure cruise boaters' hats. Men and women would wear these to, one, show their wealth. They could be leisurely on the boat. It helps to keep the sun out. It's made from a very stiff straw, kind of like a Panama hat. And it has a flat crown. And it's very round, like the pork. I'm sorry, I can't draw. Kind of round like the pork pie shape versus being oval like a fedora hat. So these are kind of cool. I don't own one of these. I haven't seen these around in a long time. But I guess I wouldn't mind buying one. I'd give it a shot, sure. One of my favorite hats. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I can't pronounce that word, but I actually have one of these hats. It's an Australian word that refers back to, it's an Australian Aboriginal word that means hat covering or head covering. So, these are really cool. They come from Australia. They're very similar to a fedora, but like the Panama, they're much bigger and wider than a traditional fedora, quite a bit bigger. So they're going to have a brim of 3 inches or greater. They're considered to be the hat of outdoorsmen, and they are extremely durable and tough. They're loved by all of us cattlemen, fishermen, outdoorsmen, and I do. I love mine. You know, they are fantastic. I probably paid like, I don't know, $180, $200 for this one, and I've had it for a very long time. There's my little fly, if you can see it, for my fishing. But these hats are great. They're durable. They're definitely to be worn, in my opinion, in kind of a outdoor setting versus a business setting. So that's what I do with this one. I take advantage of wearing this one when I go fishing, if we're out hiking, or if we're doing the nature thing. You know, I like to wear it with some of my fishing shirts. The flat cap. Now, guys, I don't have a flat cap. Never had a desire to own one. But, you know, here's some cool things about it. You know, they date back to the 1500s in England. And one of the really cool things that these were created for was back in England in the 1500s, for about a 30-year time span, the English government made it law that all common men, not the rich, but every common man had to wear a flat cap made of wool on Sundays. This was a law in the books for 30 years. Why they did this was to stimulate the wool economy in England, is what they did. So they are made of wool and include tweed and cotton. They can be very colorful. They have a short bill poking out from the crown. It has become more popular. There also, maybe some people refer to them as newsboys caps. It wears like a baseball cap, so you just slip it on just like a baseball hat, and you're good to go with those. I guess they're okay. I just don't have one. I never thought it would work well on my body type, so I didn't ever buy one. All right, let's talk about baseball caps. Now, I'm not a big fan of baseball caps, to be honest. I have a couple. It's like this one. This one is a Razorback hat. It's really never been worn, so it doesn't really fit me very well. But the Razorbacks are our local college sporting team. So, but baseball caps are probably the most popular hat in the world. I've seen them everywhere. I'm just not a big fan of them. But here's some really cool things. They actually, for a long time, until what does it say here? Until the mid-1970s, it was inappropriate to wear your baseball hat outside of the baseball playing field. It just wasn't considered very cool. It wasn't good manners or anything like that. So these are very casual hats. So they're to be worn in a very casual setting, family barbecues, pool parties, wherever you go. They're a good all-around cap. The big thing to keep in mind with baseball caps is they are not designed to be worn in a formal setting, a business setting. If you do, at least in the United States, if you come to a job interview with a baseball hat on, boy, you're not gonna do well. If you come to a funeral with a baseball cap on, a church, those are all just big signs of disrespect. All right, but they are popular. All right, let's talk about the Tilley hat. The Tilley hat is kind of a really cool hat. It's only been around since the 80s, but in Canada and America, they're very, very popular. It's a hat that's very flexible. It can be beat up and thrown on the ground, and it holds up. They even have a lifetime guarantee for these hats. There's actually one story of an elephant eating a hat on safari, and the animal crapped it out, and the hat was still intact. So they're very tough hats. They also float, so they're great for the outdoors. And outdoors people just love them. A lot of them will have straps on them to hold them on out in the weather because they're waterproof. They have vents in them to allow your head to cool. I used to have one of these, but I don't know where it went, but I would definitely buy me another one. I think they're awesome hats to have. So that's the Tilley, and you can buy them online, and they're just really great hats, guys. Once again, hey, Philippine American couple, I want to just encourage you guys to wear hats, buy hats. Ladies, if you're listening, buy hats for your husbands or your men, your boyfriends, or yourselves. Hats are great accessories. They should be fun and enjoyable. Now, look, from Lorelei and I at Philippine American Couple, we greatly appreciate you guys, and thank you for watching. And I hope this brings a smile to your face and gives you a little bit of information about hats. Take care, guys.